Dear viewers, welcome to BW Legal World and BW TV. I'm your host Ashima Ori, and with me co-hosting this interview is Krishnendra Joshi. And today we are in conversation with the gallant and stately lawyer and politician whose glorious journey, persona and body of work needs no further introduction. But just to jog your memory, I'd like to mention that in the 1980s, when no one wanted to take up cases against terrorists in Punjab, he took it upon himself to put duty before safety as the special prosecutor in the matters. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our esteemed guest, Senior Advocate Mr. KTS Tulsi. Sir, a very warm welcome to BW Legal World. It is such an honor to have you with us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
So would you please take us down the memory lane and tell our readers what motivated you to pursue law and how were the first few years of this glorious journey?
What persuaded me to take up law is because I was a passionate debater in college. In Government College Chandigarh, every time there was a debate anywhere, we would team up and land up there. And we collected lots of trophies and we were crazy about debates, a bunch of us. So I think the only profession that I could perceive where you earn your bread by spoken word was law. So I went to law. And my time in the law department, there are two events which motivate me a lot. One was that I was the secretary of the Moot Court Society in the Punjab University Department of Laws. And as the secretary, I decided that we don't have enough time for 100 moots. So at least let us have one moot every Saturday. It was then we called our society a Saturday afternoon moot society. And in that moot, I used to write the problems, and everybody else were given those problems one day before, and then they could prepare, and we would request one or two teachers to be the judges. So I remember that a few of the students who did participate in moots went up to the head of the department and said that I should be debarred from participating in the moots. So he says, why? Because every time he gets the first prize and he knows the problem from before, we get to know only the previous day. So the head of the department called me and he says that, well, congratulations, there are complaints about you getting too many prizes. So he says, what should we do? I said, don't disbar me from participating in the moots. You can bar me from the prizes. So that's one thing that sticks in my memory. And the other is we were having a final moot court in 1970. And this was about the constitutional validity of section 498 of the IPC. And we argued passionately. Because same people used to argue everywhere. And we had also plans to take the civil service exam. But that day, my course of the career took a turn. After the moot, the Chief Justice of India was presiding over that moot, and there was another judge of the High Court, sitting judge, Justice Dhillon. But in the presidential remarks, the Chief Justice said on the mic to the entire audience that the students who have argued today are better than 90% lawyers in my court. Well, that gave us a great high. And we all went to the lake. We tore our admit cards for the civil service exam and threw it in the lake. And we thought that we are truly going to earn our living through the spoken word. After I joined a senior Mr. Serene. And Max Serene and I were best of friends, are best of friends. We used to, Mr. Serene had lots of cases. And every day we had to draft the grounds of appeal of 2 or 3 cases. We had to do the research, we would handwrite them, and then we would get them typed, and we would make the corrections. We will give the brief to the senior. I think that was a great training ground. But I joined them in July, 3rd July 1971. But in December vacations, I told my friend, I'm going to be on my own. So he says that, what an idiot you are. You don't know this profession. And they're just going to eat you up live. And don't get frustrated. I said, look, if I'm not going to make it as a lawyer, I might as well fail now, rather than after 10 years. So I'm going to jump into the sea. Let's see what happens. Well, I used to get 1 or 2 of the cases, which was much more than Mr. Serene used to, I must mention. He was very kind and very good senior. Every Friday evening, he used to invite us to his chamber, both Mac and me. So he would hand over an envelope to me, and then he would hand over an envelope to his son, Max Reed. And we used to get princely sum of ₹50 per week. That was our salary. But when I was on my own, I said, I can stick it out. I'm staying with my parents. What's the problem? I have a scooter. That was only 2 years before I bought one. My father had bought one for me. So, you see, the inspiration was that my father one day came home and announced that, oh, we fixed you up. I said, what do you mean? No, we fixed you up, very nice girl, and we have already said yes. I said, but it's not you getting married. Why can't I meet? So he says to me, shukar karo nahi tenu nahi dekhya. So anyway, I was still protesting, and he started dialing my friends' phone numbers and announced it to them. And I ended up in a celebration at the lake. But that created the pressure required to succeed. And I became a workaholic without cases even. I started writing a book, and I would work 14 hours a day. And I still have my book. I can show it to you.
Sure, sir.
This is the book that I wrote, and this is Tulsis Digest of Accident Claims Cases.
Oh wow, sir. What an iconic moment to be able to see this.
And I thought that I will make a difference in the quality of law books, and I started following the pattern of corpus juris secundum. The indexing, digest is all about indexing and the catchwords to be able to reach the case that you need without problem. But this took me 3 years. Every waking hour, I was either working or, and then my marriage also brought me good luck. I became a part-time lecturer. So I ended up doing 2 things which are essential for succeeding. And one is that for learning the law, it's important that you write. You write a book. And then they say the second best is teach. Teach that subject. You will learn it. While teaching others, you also teach yourself. So I became a part-time lecturer in 73. I passed out in 71, so it was pretty good. We used to get 400 rupees as a part-time lecturer, the salary. And I thought that I still had extra time because there were only 2 or 3 cases coming my way in a month. So I started a law journal. That is Chandigarh Short Notes. I thought lawyers can't afford big commentaries, particularly the beginners. So I can cover 5 times the number of cases in a smaller volume. They will save money. I don't have my Chandigarh Short Notes over here, but they are in my other house. That's how I had all the judgment on my fingertips. In the process of teaching, I had to learn. In the process of writing, I had to understand, get into the heart of the judgments. What is the art of writing those judgments? And I couldn't afford to buy judgments. Journals were given judgments at a lower cost, but I couldn't even afford the lower cost. So I used to borrow the file from the bar library at 4 o'clock with the promise that it will reach them by 9:30 next morning. And I would browse through the judgments, select the judgments 10, 12 from each file, and my stenographer was at home at 6 o'clock and I would give dictation of the catchwords. But that's how I guess I got rewarded. The Chief Justice who had made that announcement openly that we are better, and he thought that he would better do something. He appointed me the lawyer for the official liquidator, which meant doing about 50 cases a week. So this is my first notebook that I made as additional Solicitor General. I used to start with a new notebook every time. So it's in shape now, because without this notebook, I couldn't argue. And many seniors used to joke that we're going to steal it.
That's really a fine treasure there, sir. Your handwritten notes, I think many would want to get their hands on it as we speak.